The Karen National Union. It operates in mountainous eastern Myanmar and has underground networks in other areas of Myanmar where Karen people live as a minority group. In the Karen language, this area is called Kavthule. Some of the Karen, led primarily by the Karen National Union, have waged a war against the central government since early 1949. The aim of the KNU at first was independence. Since 1976, the armed group has called for a federal system rather than an independent Karen state. In January 2012, Myanmar's military-backed civilian government signed a ceasefire deal with the KNU in Hpan, the capital of Eastern Karen State. Aung Min, the railway minister, and General Mutu Sepo of the KNU led the peace talks. The KNU was founded in 1947. Following Burmese independence in January 1948, KNU leaders instructed local organizers to establish local defense militias, collectively grouped under the Karen National Defense Organization in their districts. The KNU launched its armed campaign against the Burmese government in early 1949. By the early 1950s, factions within Karen politics were influencing the strategic posture of the KNU. In 1953, Man Ba Zan and other KNU leaders established the Karen National Unity Party, a communist-influenced group that supported a shift leftwards in KNU politics. By 1960, KNUP members had become the dominant figures within KNU structures. Despite the KNUP being a minority tendency within Karen politics, the KNUP was strongest in the Irrawaddy Delta. Under KNUP influence, the KNU was centralized. The KNLA was reorganized along Maoist lines, and agricultural cooperatives were created in some KNU-controlled villages. By 1963, the KNU numbered approximately 10,000. As the KNU trend leftwards internally, its outwards posture was complicated by the broader alignment of forces within Burma. Chinese support for the Communist Party of Burma, a rival of the KNU, led the organization into a tacit understanding with the Kuomintang, which had been displaced into northern Burma following defeat in the Chinese Civil War. Ideological and strategic disagreement precipitated the breaking away of senior figure Tharhawe in April 1963, with approximately 400 men, to found the Karen Revolutionary Council. The KRC was wound up following Tharhawe's capture in 1964. In KNU-controlled territory along the Thai border, a more successful reaction against the KNUP influence within the KNU took place. These areas, at some distance from KNUP strength in the Irrawaddy Delta, had come under the sway of Sagav Karen figures, especially commanders Shui Hser and Bo Maya. In 1966, Bo Maya, then head of the Karen Armed Forces Eastern Division, seized control of the Davna Range and much of the Thai border region and ordered KNUP cadres to leave his territory. Bo Maya was able to maintain an army approximately 10,000 men by taxing illegal trade along the border with Thailand. In 1967, Man Ba Zan and 4 other senior KNUP officials reconciled with Bo Maya, forming the Karen National Unity Front. This reconciliation paved the way both for Bo Maya's ultimate ascension to KNU presidency in 1976. By 1970, following KNUP military defeats in the Irrawaddy Delta, the KNU had become the dominant representative body for the Karen movement. Bo Maya dominated the KNU leadership for 3 decades from 1976 to 2000. For many years, the KNU was able to fund its activities by controlling black market trade across the border with Thailand, and through local taxation. After the failed 8888 uprising of the Burmese people in 1988, the Burmese military government turned to China for help in consolidating its power. Various economic concessions were offered to China in exchange for weapons. The Burmese army was massively expanded and began to offer deals to groups fighting the government. The groups were offered the choice of cooperating with the military junta or being destroyed. In 1994, a group of Buddhist soldiers in the KNLA, citing discrimination by the KNU's overwhelmingly Christian leadership against the Buddhist Karen majority, broke away and established the Democratic Karen Buddhist Army. They were led by a monk. The DKBA quickly agreed to a ceasefire with the Burmese army and was granted business concessions at the expense of their former KNU overlords. The KNU and DKBA have since been in regular fighting, with the DKBA actively supported by the Burmese army. The KNU's effectiveness was severely diminished after its headquarters were captured in the fall of Manaplo, near the Thai border. In 1995, Pado Mansha Fan, the Secretary-General of the Union, was shot dead in his home in Mae Sot, Thailand, on 14 February 2008, possibly by soldiers of the DKBA. Several attempts have been made to conclude a form of peace with Burma's military junta, the State Peace and Development Council, but with little success. The 2004 peace talks yielded only an informal ceasefire which the regime used to reinforce their